Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of Remax Associated Realty. MyNextHomeFinder.com. Cindy Grossman. New York City born and raised, luxury retail management was her game. Saks Fifth Avenue and Nordstrom were her jewelry playgrounds. Had enough at 38, fled to Miami, where Neiman Marcus Bal Harbour found her. Recruited to Mont Blanc, where her regional position challenged her. Met her husband 4 years ago, and Brevard County she did go. COVID hit, she needed a new career fit. Age-defying beauty with Mary Kay, she did say. And now, here's Cindy Grossman.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Mesmerize the Mirror at any age. How are you doing, Mitch? Glad to see you back.
Thank you for having me back yet again. It's an honor and a privilege.
We have a really fun show today.
I see.
Yes,
I think
we're all already sharing a little bit of our wine.
Cheers.
Cheers. And I'm happy to say we have Vanessa Nicoletta, who's with us today by phone because she is in Long Island. That's why we have our earphones on. She is a New York-based culinary nutrition expert and wine ambassador for the Boisset collection of fine wines. She loves leading virtual tasting, so anywhere in the country or maybe even in the world, she can do a great tasting for you, teaching about food and wine, nutrition, cooking from scratch, and how to apply it all in everyday life. She lives by the philosophy that life is supposed to be fun. Hear, hear to that. Pleasure is the name of the game, and milk every second of it that you can, and as often as you can. Simple and delicious food and wine that are pleasing to the senses as well as the palate are the core of her philosophy to eat vibrantly. I do like that bio. She has a few other interesting things you should know about her. She's a chiropractor for 22 years, and she used to be on a competitive weightlifting team. She loves to birdwatch. She finds it very relaxing, and something I totally agree with her. Chocolate is an important part of her life. So that's terrific. Vanessa, thank you for coming on. We're really looking forward to this show with you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's going to be so much fun.
Absolutely.
We're looking forward to this.
Great, great. So I guess the most common questions about wine and things like that, I know people sometimes say they get headaches when they drink wine. What is that from? What would you say? Because some people can drink and drink and drink and they don't get any type of problem. So what do the headaches come from?
Right. So people typically make the assumption that this is the biggest question that I get. They make the assumption that it's the sulfites that are in wine that are causing their headaches, right? So I guess the best way to start would be what are sulfites exactly? And they're most commonly recognized as, you may hear it as sulfur dioxide or SO2. And really what sulfites are naturally occurring antibacterial, antioxidant compounds, and they are found in every single wine. So every single wine has sulfites in it. They prevent oxidation. They provide natural protection against bacteria. And so oxidation is when, like, say, you leave an apple, you cut open an apple, you leave it on the counter, it gets brown after you walk away for a bit, after not too long. That's because it's exposed to oxygen, and it starts to taste a little bit different. So the same thing happens if you were to open a bottle of wine and just leave it on the counter and have the oxygen get exposed to it over a few days. It starts to taste different. It's flat. It's dull. So sulfites prevent oxidation and browning. And they've been used for literally thousands of years in wine production. And so without sulfites, all wines would go bad in a matter of months. So, the reason why people assume that they're dangerous chemical additives is because by law, the wine labels have to say contains sulfite. That warning has to be on the label. But they're actually naturally present in all fermented foods, as well as, say, fresh fruits and vegetables, in particular your cruciferous vegetables like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, any packaged meats, fishes, fish, cheese, pickles, teas, even cocoa, especially dried fruits, potato chips, pretzels, and, your charcuterie meats like your sliced salamis and prosciuttos all contain sulfites. And so it's not the sulfites when it comes to headaches. And as far as I know, there's no documented link between sulfites and headaches from drinking wine. The main culprits for headaches after drinking wine are, it could be that you've had too much alcohol. It can definitely be that you're dehydrated. That's a big one.
Okay.
And there's also a group of compounds called biogenic amines, which are nitrogen compounds that emerge naturally during the winemaking process. So if you've ever heard of histamines or tyramines, these are naturally occurring in foods that have been fermented or, have, like tofu, tempeh, even champagne, red wine, ketchup, aged meats. So histamines can cause headaches. Tyramines can cause headaches. So as far as headaches go, there's not really a documented link between the sulfites and headaches. It's most likely that you have a sensitivity to those amines that I mentioned, or you're dehydrated, or you just had too much alcohol.
Okay, that's some explanation, and that helps because you are a nutritionist and you can certainly give us those type of details. So if the sulfites are in the wine, how come from time to time an expensive bottle of wine will go bad? What happens there?
Well, so you're going to have sulfites added to wines in general when they're an expensive wine. So there's sulfites added to them too. They don't necessarily go bad. If it's a cheaper wine, there's more sulfites in it because there's sugar added to it. But the finer wines also have sulfites as well. I mean, there are finer wines that you can age, and provided that you age them properly, they'll last. But they all have sulfites in them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about temperatures? I know they say red should always be room temperature, white should be chilled, a rosé may be, I don't know, usually chilled as well. So what happens with that factor with the temperatures?
Okay, yeah. So different wine styles taste their best at different temperatures. All wines, if you're going to store them, they're best stored at the same ideal temperature, which is cellar temperature. So that's between 55 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit, just to store it. Okay. But no matter what, there are danger zones that you don't want to keep your wine in. So anything over 75 degrees Fahrenheit is kind of flirting with danger, or over 80 degrees, that's going to compromise the quality of the wine. That's going to essentially cook it, for lack of a better way of saying it. Anything below like 35 degrees Fahrenheit is flirting with danger also, or beneath 32 degrees. That's going to kind of freeze the wine and break the bottle maybe, or compromise the seal. So natural underground cellars are always like the same temperature, around 55 degrees Fahrenheit. So for best long-term storage, you're in the 50 to 60 degree Fahrenheit range. As far as serving, everyone has their own preferences, and I guess everyone is kind of right when it comes to what they like. They know the way they like the way it tastes. But I have, sparkling wines and dessert wines. Their ideal temperature is around 40 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. For short-term storage, you can keep them refrigerated. And white wines, and even your rosé wines, their ideal temperature is around 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. You can also keep them in the fridge for short-term storage. Red wine, the ideal temperature is around 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And short-term, you can keep them at room temperature.
Okay.
Vanessa, what is your favorite wine of all? What's your favorite?
Oh, boy, that's so hard.
I know. I can tell you really. Go ahead. And someone that enjoys the term, I think it's pronounced oenophile. I may be wrong, but...
Yes. So
we ask hard questions here.
I know that's a tough one. See, I love my bubblies.
Well, break it down then. That's okay.
Okay.
We want recommendations.
Okay, well, I love bubblies all, throughout the year. I just love them. I love rosés in the summertime. I love, your typical Cabernet Sauvignon from California, a nice full-bodied red. That's really, big and juicy. When it gets cooler out, I might enjoy that tonight, a nice fireside wine. So I have this diverse palate, I guess. I just like different times of year, different wines, But I do love the Cabernet Sauvignon. I have to say I do love them. They're nice and big and juicy to me, and big and fruity.
Can you recommend a certain name, or is that not appropriate?
Well, I'm going to be a little biased here, but I love some of the brands we have at Boisset. I really do.
Okay.
They're wonderful. I love them. So, yeah.
We'll have to get an official tasting. We'll have to arrange for that, the virtual.
That would be amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesse, what do you like as far as wines?
I'm not a real big wine drinker. My wife loves white wine, Sauvignon Blanc, and I'll enjoy a glass or two with her every once in a while. A little white wine with her.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, we're not crazy wine drinkers, but we do have a wine refrigerator. And I was thinking, in Florida, most people keep their homes at about 75 degrees. And I'm thinking, well, maybe the red has to be in the refrigerator, and then when it's about to be served, maybe taken out an hour or two before. What do you think about that, Vanessa? Is that something to consider?
I would take it out 30 minutes before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're just gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Yep.
Why hire Cantwell & Goldman? At Cantwell & Goldman, PA, we take pride in what we do. That pride translates into better client service and better client results. At Cantwell & Goldman, PA, we provide high-quality legal solutions for individuals and businesses in Indian River and Brevard counties and throughout the state of Florida. Our experienced attorneys can help you with a range of legal issues, from defending a criminal charge, assistance with a commercial or residential closing, business transaction, or estate planning and probate matters. We are a full-service law firm specializing in estate planning, including trust and estates, as well as commercial and residential real estate and corporate matters throughout the state of Florida. Cantwell & Goldman, PA.
New Vision Eye Center provides world-class eye care on the Treasure Coast. To tell you more, here's Dr. Robert Reinauer.
Many patients are under the impression that floaters in your eyes are a condition that you have to just accept. Floaters can spontaneously appear as part of the natural aging process, and they disrupt your clear vision. Some have had a laser treatment that does not remove the floaters. At New Vision Eye Center, we provide the latest techniques in the permanent removal of floaters in your eyes.
Dr. Robert Reinauer with New Vision Eye Center exclusively performs this proven procedure to remove annoying floaters in the eyes, providing world-class care for macular degeneration, diabetic retinopathy, and retinal surgery. For an appointment, call 772-257-8700 or visit newvisioneyecenter.com. Make the move to retinal specialist Dr. Robert Reinauer at New Vision Eye Center in Vero Beach.
Affordable Water has made great tasting water even more affordable. Right now, get a free reverse osmosis drinking water system with qualifying purchases, or free salt delivery for 6 months. Enjoy clean, pure, crisp tasting water from Affordable Water right away. Call now. Affordable Water.
Call 589-7677 for your H2O. Call the Pure Water Pros. Affordable Water.
Hi, I'm Vicki Soule, Treasure Coast Community Health CEO. 5,000 adorable rubber duckies will race for the finish in the Great Duck Derby, held on October 24th at Captain Hiram's. The winning duck will take home a $1,000 grand prize. All ducks help us provide health care for all. Duck adoptions start at only $5. Pay it forward and adopt more ducks for your family and friends at thegreatduckderby.com. TCCH is a nonprofit.
And we're back with Vanessa Nicoletta, the New York-based culinary nutrition expert and wine ambassador. Vanessa, cheers. Let's have a little sip. Yeah, we're
toasting you.
Toasting you, Vanessa.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome to have your own if you have any.
I'll be partaking after this. Yes.
Sounds good. Now, since you're an expert at food and wine, how do we know what goes with what? So I'm always confused. Do you have the fish with the white? Do you have the red with the meat? Italian food, rich red sauces. I mean, I'm always confused about that. Is there an easy way to remember it?
Yes, this is another common question that I get, and hopefully we can simplify this once and for all. Okay, so most of the time it's more useful to think of what to drink when than what to drink with what. Most of the time you don't have to worry about, sommelier style pairing of a wine with a dish. That could be really overwhelming when it comes to, making a decision. So the vast majority of the time, just choosing a wine that's appropriate for, say, the time of day or the time of year or even the season is more than enough to get the flavors in line. You don't need to worry about pairing individual wines to one particular dish because most of the time, if you think about it, more than one dish is being served. If you're out at a restaurant, that would be the case most of the time, or if you're hosting, you'd be serving more than one thing, right? So it's more appropriate then to think of lighter, brighter, more refreshing wines, which tend to work best with warmer times of the year when we're looking for refreshment, say, or whether we want more of a heavier style with more richness and power that's more appropriate, which is more attractive, like when the sun goes down and the evening chills off or at like cooler times of the year. So sometimes I explain that time of day, time of year are simple rules of thumb to follow when you're choosing which wines to serve. But if you do have to partner individual wines to a menu, I would think of wines as on a spectrum, say from lighter to heavier, where the lighter, more refreshing wines are the ones that are the lighter, more refreshing wines usually have the lowest alcohol, a lower alcohol content, and the wines from the riper, warmer regions have a little bit more heavier texture. So if we put light with light and heavy with heavy when it comes to wine and food, 9 out of 10 times the matches are going to be great.
Okay.
And so alcohol in wine is what gives it its texture. And what gives food its texture is its fat content. So your salads are lighter than your soups, and your seafoods are generally lighter than your meats. It's not usually the weight of the food or the portion size. It's the difference in fat content that's usually coming across as texture on the palate. So lighter, more delicate wines are the ones that are going to partner best with the light and more delicate foods in terms of texture and fat content.
That's great. That makes a lot of sense, and it makes it easier to figure out. I'm sorry, Mitch, you were going to say something.
I was going to ask, one of the items you mentioned is that you perform virtual wine tastings. How does that work? What does someone need to do to make those kind of arrangements? It sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh, and it is a lot of fun. Yeah, it's really simple to do. We just you'd want to set a date, right? And then we want to give enough lead time in order to get the wines ordered and delivered. I like to give it at least 2 weeks lead time so everybody can get the wine. And then you can choose from different tasting experiences. So that would be, it could be a 2-bottle flight, a 3-bottle flight, even up to 7-bottle flight, So you would pick one of the experiences. We've got sommelier, style tasting, like taste like a pro, wine country experience, clean living experience, alchemy of the senses. You choose. Or just a simple, we could put one together of whatever you'd like. But we need a lead time for a couple of weeks. Everybody gets the wine. And then just send out a Zoom link for everyone. We'll hop on and do a tasting. It's that simple.
That sounds fun. Or even, we can gather friends at the house and we can just really do it together since things are getting better and people are starting to gather, especially during the holiday time. So that's something I will definitely be speaking to you about. That sounds great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, virtually, we can connect.
Right. Now, where is the winery?
So there is a collection of wineries that are in California and in France.
Nice. Lovely. Yeah. That sounds great. Yeah. Now, we hear sometimes, I don't know if my father uses this term, but he's a big red wine drinker, the legs. What do they mean by the legs?
Right. So wine legs are those droplets of wine that form on the inside of a glass. And so that is the result of fluid surface tension caused by the evaporation of alcohol. And so more legs can indicate either high alcohol content or high sugar content in wine. And so in wine speak, it's called the viscosity of it. And you both have a glass of wine right now?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so did you swirl it a little bit? Do you happen to see legs when you do that, or? You know what?
That was my next question. What's the whole thing about swooshing the wine in the glass?
Okay, so so swirling the glass, what you're doing is you're adding oxygen to it, but you're aerating it. You're aerating it and opening up all the aromas.
Okay.
So that you can smell that bouquet of aromas. So you're opening it up, essentially. That's what you're doing. You're really aerating it.
We're toasting you.
Yes. I took another sip because I was aerating my wine and giving it oxygen and said, hey, it's time for another sip. Fun. Now,
so
go ahead, please. No, you continue.
No, if the legs that run down the side of the glass are thin and they tend to move quickly, the wine has a lower alcohol or sugar content. But if the legs are thicker and they move a little bit slower, it's the indication of a higher alcohol percentage or higher sugar. And usually alcohol is felt as a warming sensation or burning at the back of your throat.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
We happen to be drinking something very light, which is usually what I like, but you'll have to talk to us more about that when we plan our tasting. I'd like to even maybe do the tasting on the show, so we'll have to work that out with you.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Now, wine experts, they tend to do some slurping. What's with the slurping?
That's a funny one. Yeah, so wine pros, they slurp the wine to introduce more oxygen and to even aerate the wine further on their palate. So they'll aerate it in the glass, just like you just did, and then they'll take a sip, and then they'll kind of do the slurping thing, and that's really meant to aerate the wine even more on their palate.
Okay.
So it opens up all the aromas even more and the textural components of the wine.
Excellent.
Yeah, it takes a little time to develop that skill, but it's.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Just as we're about to end, please, Vanessa, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Natural Wine Doc. I'm also on Facebook, Dr. Vanessa Nicoletta.
Great.
And my email is naturalwinedoc@gmail.com.
Terrific. And of course, anybody can reach out to us here at the show, Mesmerize the Mirror, at any age. And ladies, wine. I know everybody loves wine, so be in touch with Vanessa. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy your wine tonight.
Thank you. You do the same.
A great daily skincare routine can help with anti-aging, wrinkles, texture, tone, and elasticity. Cindy Grossman specializes in helping women look and feel their best with great skincare and cosmetics. Join Cindy Grossman's dream team and become part of the Mary Kay Sisterhood. Call 917-363-4641 to set up your one-on-one consultation.